start off with that Rengar ban.
So it looks like so far Team Kinguin going with the same. Are Nerv going to maintain that consistency as well? They could look to ban away. I feel like you got to ban the Camille if you're outside. You kind of have to take it off the board, but it looks like that Lee Sin will still be the priority. So same old from what we're seeing so far.
Yeah, with the Rek'Sai banned as well. I mean, this has got to be frustrating Memento that he's been forced on so many champions that aren't quite in his wheelhouse. Now, the Camille is going to get banned, so things are shifting up just a little bit, more like what we saw back in game number 1. And the Poppy, so Kinguin have only really banned 3 champions in the series.
Yeah. Yes, they have only banned 3 champions in this series.
I can do math.
Yep.
Every now and again. And the Rise ban I think makes a lot of sense. Even though it was 2 games ago, it's good to remember how obnoxious Sebex became on that.
Yep. So the priority right now for Team Kinguin, rather than going for the Zyra like they did in game 1, looks like they want to make sure that they get themselves a jungler that they're comfortable with. This is why we don't talk about hovers, because they're not reliable. But let's think about what is available for Nerv right now. There's the Syndra. They have picked up the Syndra in game 1, and that went into the Rise, which obviously is now unavailable. There's also, I mean, Hecarim and Kha'Zix are what we've seen so far. I don't know whether or not Memento is going to bring out anything unique. Instead, they're just going to pick up their bottom lane.
Okay, so another champion that doesn't quite have escapes in the form of Varus, but they have the Syndra as well. It's a lot of damage. It has decently long range between the 2 of them.
Yep.
I mean, this definitely seems like something that Chu can really shine on, but it really depends on what Wolite is going to pick up.
I mean, he's no stranger to the Varus. It's something that he has demonstrated proficiency on throughout the qualifiers, and it has been a champion that has been rising in popularity a lot recently. He has very good poke. His laning phase is actually fairly solid. He has the Chain of Corruption ultimate to act as an engage tool, and it's a little bit, I argue it's a little bit stronger in the sense that it actually spreads out, so teams are forced to disperse from the target that it's actually been isolated on. So it makes great for setting up picks, but the problem is you're leaving the Ashe open for Team Kinguin, which is perfect for their sort of playstyle. The pick composition that they ran in game 1, something they have demonstrated are so good at in the before. I feel like you're just giving Team Kinguin exactly what they want.
Yeah, so they lock in the Ashe Zyra combo once again, so much more range, still a lot of that CC and poke that they've got available to themselves, and it'll be interesting to see what Nerv decide to pair with the very pokey Varus in that bottom lane for now.
Well, you've got the
falls back in their court.
Yeah, you've got the mid lane Syndra. I feel like you should hold on to your top laner for now. Just pick up your support. You could go for, I feel like it's risky, but you could go for something like a Thresh if you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. You have a lot of them pick potential yourself. You have opportunities to catch the Zyra out of position. She is very squishy, and if you just land either a hook or that Chain of Corruption, you can very quickly burst her down. It also gives you more ways to set up for plays because you have the Lantern, you have a bit more safety. Or you could just go for the Karma as well, adds a little bit more in terms of wave clear. You have a lot more pushing power you can match with early on. I mean, I'd be...
Oh, okay. We got the Thresh, but that is actually a Shaco.
That is a Shaco. Yeah. I was not expecting that.
All right, well, Memento's like, you know, how far down on my tier list am I going to go right now?
So what we have to remember is that Shaco did have some changes not too long ago, especially with regards to his ultimate, that when it now explodes, you actually get the Jack of boxes, the Illuminati boxes now. Those will now proc up. He has had a couple changes. We'll get more into once we get into game. But like he's a very good early game jungler, right? Yep. Something that I think we shouldn't be too surprised to hear from Memento. A playstyle that he does seem to be fairly consistent with. But like I suppose Nerv now, they've been backed into a corner and they say, let's just bring out what we're comfortable with. And yeah, we're going to get a Shaco.
Yeah, we're going to get a Shen too.
That's not too surprising. This is actually something that we've seen a fair amount. It synergizes very nicely with the Nocturne in particular because that enhances his engage so much more. And it also acts as a great follow-up for from the Ashe arrow. Like I actually think
protection on Ashe as well, and a very squishy bot lane. You know, once 6 hits, like that's going to be really crazy for Ice Beast to get involved in.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice. We got like almost a little bit of throwback in a couple of ways, but I'm still waiting on that last pick for Nerv.
I'm not a massive fan of the Corki, personally. I think that here, with the composition that you have, perhaps an Orianna would have been a little bit better. Adds a little bit more magic damage.
And to add on to the engage potential from a Nocturne, we've seen some pretty legendary successes and fails, actually, in that regard.
But I think the reason why they've gone for the Corki is because they know how much of a terror a Shaco can be in the early laning phase. And with someone like Ori going up against a Syndra and a Shaco, you're just asking to be ganked over and over and over again. So I think that the Corki is very much just a safety thing, so you have a little bit more mobility and you can get through the laning phase to then hit that nice mid-game spike with the Training Force.
Right, now the last pick is locked in for Ruin. It's going to be the Rumble, so actually no true tank on the side of Nerv. We'll have to see what they end up building.
Well, I mean, the fact that they locked in a Shaco suggests that they're going all out on the aggression.
Hey, you're backed up into a corner. It's 0-2 in this record. You're trying to qualify for Challenger. You might as well pull out your super secret weapon.
Yeah, and apparently that's a Clown.
Yeah.
So we'll have
with
to
a lot of daggers. So
with a lot of
it's
daggers,
definitely very effective as a weapon.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it could definitely go very wrong. I like the team fighting capability, though, if they can engage it properly. I mean, Equalizer is an ultimate that can never be underestimated. The red carpet really burns.
And when you pair that up with the Varus, too, you know, he lands that Chain of Corruption, enemy team sticks a little bit too close, you then get equalized on top of, so not only are you trying to avoid the equalizer, but you're also the Chain of Corruption spread, and then you've got Syndra who's basically saying, oh, well, while all of you are running away, I'm just going to pick the target that I want to one-shot. So, and then you have to be always aware of the fact that Shaco could just come in and snipe you at any moment in time. I'm looking forward to seeing how he decides to build, whether or not he does go a little bit off-tanky, or whether or not I expect him to go with, like, Tiamat, like, Infinity Edge.
Burst you right down. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, it's not exactly a classic wombo combo, but I mean, they really can get the job done. The question is Nerv going to be able to coordinate well enough? This series, we just haven't seen it from them.
Yeah,
outside the early game.
Team Kinguin has just going to be doing what they've been doing throughout this series so far. They might fall behind a little bit during the early laning phase. They have the scaling jungler, but this is something that you can actually abuse with the Shaco. Nocturne's early clear hurts him a lot, right? Yeah. He actually, like, he doesn't have the best sustain. Even though he has his passive, he's, like, fairly weak. And as we talked about in Game 1, his mana costs are fairly high. Shaco's clear is very, very powerful. He could very easily walk into your jungle at level 2, maybe even level 3, and he can do some serious issues.
Remember, I mean, this whole series started with the 3 buff on Kha'Zix, and, you know, honestly, if Memento had been able to find Tabasco, it might have been a very different game number 1. I think this time around, he's got the tools to make it happen.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out, and that's what I'm most excited to see. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a Shaco coming up. I think the last time we saw Shaco was Kikis, right?
Yeah,
that's the last time we saw.
In my mind, Kikis and Shaco are always kind of a little connected. But either way, I mean, this is going to be an exciting game no matter what happens. If you think Team Kinguin are going to be able to take it 3-0 and qualify for Challenger, hashtag TKWin over at LOL Esports. So if you think Nerv are going to fire back and start rolling on that reverse sweep, hashtag NRV win. Do you guys believe in the Clown? Do you believe in the Clown, Vedi?
No.
I didn't think so.
Not even remotely. Well,
all right, well, we're on the Rift. We're going to find out if it works. Here we go.
It's exciting, though. That's the thing. I like new and creative picks. So much so that I even made a video about it.
I saw a few of those. You've got some sweet dance moves, my friend.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah.
But I think that, honestly, like, Shaco is definitely not on that list.
Maybe after this game, we'll see.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Maybe after this game.
Somewhere out there, some people are very excited about this, I'm sure. And I'm one of them. I'm very excited too. I'm not as hopeful either. I know that it's a very hard thing to pull off.
Are you one of those Shaco mains?
I don't have mechanics to play Shaco, man.
Shaco requires mechanics?
More than I have, anyways.
No, in fairness, I have seen a lot of very skilled Shacos. Just as a mid laner, they're incredibly obnoxious. It's just all the time. You know, you just go for one farm and Shaco's there. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna back off now. And then you come back, it's like, oh, Shaco's still there. Why? He's so annoying. But he has a lot of options. His Deceive does give him that free stealth. And it also gives him a bit of distance, so it's very easy for him to just walk into mid lane. Something you have to ward against when you're playing against a Shaco is more like the jungle entrances. So if you just look at the minimap right now, places where the Corki is standing and where the Syndra is standing, these are the sort of areas that you want to be warding, because it's really not worth investing the vision into like the side lane bushes, because if Shaco's ever going to gank your lane, it will not be from that avenue.
Yep, that's fair. Now, that is always the wild card here, and another one is that Memento is not going to need that leash, so they have no idea what side he should be starting on, but it will be near the blue. In fact, Ice Beasto and Tabasco going to double up here, but there is some harassment out of Ruin. He's going to spot this one with the ward and, well, and himself, actually, but he's not really able to prevent it, so Tabasco picks up the blue and moves on over to Gromp. Standard start, as all things go, and Memento's onto the blue buff himself.
So you can see how quickly Memento is working his way through the jungle, already giving a preview of the Illuminati boxes to come.
Yes. But once that 6 happens, we'll see. Woolite and Delord are going to have to watch their backs. Again, we talked about at the beginning of the series, Woolite and his historical tendency to kind of get himself caught a little bit out. We've seen him going aggressive, but it has not been punished. His team's been there to back him up a lot of times. And I'm curious to see if he's going to keep playing very, very aggressive against a lane that, well, it can very easily punish you. Cost on this Thresh is a different sort of beast.
Yeah, note that Nerv once again got themselves the early push. They didn't need to provide any support for Shaco, given that he has the boxes for his early jungle clear. So they were able to get themselves the early level 2, force Team Kinguin's bottom lane back a little bit. But once Team Kinguin get a couple levels under their belt, they can start playing a little bit more aggressively. But it's the Thresh that you really have to be careful of. Right now, he doesn't have very much bush control, which is why they can afford to play a little bit more aggressively. And now that Delord has moved up a little bit more, things are playing a little bit safer. Memento, his jungle path was actually, he started on the Wolves, then he went to his blue buff, then he moved over to Gromp, and now he's moved up to his red. So he's not actually going for any sort of early jungle invades, which surprises me a little bit given as to how weak the Nocturne can be during the early jungle clears.
It seems like they're taking a slightly different tack here just because they had such an edge over the early games and it kind of fell flat. This time they're trying to see, it looks like they're trying to maybe play this out a little bit less predictably. But to be fair, Shaco is typically your unpredictable type of champion. So.
He is. He's very unpredictable, yeah.
Right.
And I wonder where he's actually going to look to put his early ganks, because when you look across the map, top lane is pushing in favor of Rumble, which is very much what you'd expect. You often pick the Rumble into these tanky top laners to abuse them during the early game. He has good scaling, and while he can't be quite the same sort of split pusher that these other tanks can be in the late game, especially someone like a Shen, the amount of damage and abuse that he can throw down during the early laning phase somewhat compensates for that, assuming that you can play it properly. But the mid lane, pressure constantly coming out from the Syndra, and this is the mid lane gank.
Here we go. Sends the Shiv out. Sebix is already vouched back to the safety of the tower. However, Memento will toss down one more box for a little bit of fun later on in this game. Woolite and Delord now firing back in this bottom lane.
But it's this. This is what's so obnoxious about playing against the Shaco, because so often they will go into lanes like the Syndra lane because of how much kill pressure there is, and it just forces you to play hyper defensively because you never know where he is. And without being able to get this deep vision because of the amount of pressure that's coming out from the Syndra, it just makes it so difficult to play around.
And you can see that it's already causing a little bit of pain here for TK because they continually are pinging out where they see the Shaco. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Every single time he's on the map, Team Kinguin are wanting to keep tabs for everybody, and it just is an extra layer of frustration that you have to deal with. And speaking of frustration, Ice Beasto is definitely feeling the pain here. Up on the top side as Ruin leads yet another minion wave into the top.
It is what we would expect. Just constant pushing coming in from Ruin. He's also aware of the fact that the early ganking power of the Nocturne is not the strongest, so in all honesty, this is just classic Nerv. Getting themselves the early lead throughout the laning phase, usually having the pushing lanes, building up small CS advantages wherever they can. But it's come the mid-game, come the scaling, that really starts to hinder their performance. Now, when you look at the engage tools, their strongest form of engage is to throw out the Chain of Corruption, maybe use the ultimate from Rumble to get some kind of a flank. But they don't have the most reliable engage tools. Now, that's not to say they have no ways to start a fight. And around these objectives, especially around the mid-game points, so the 15 to 20 minute mark when playing around the Dragon, could be a good opportunity for them to try and force a fight. But the question is, will they want to? Will they be able to build themselves up a big enough lead during the laning phase that they can start to snowball with this Shaco? Well,
that was the question we pretty much had for every game this series, minus the Shaco part. And the answer for 2 games in a row is no. They've lost out to the Polish team. And time again, and Team Kinguin, despite the frustrations that the Shaco brings, they have to be feeling pretty comfortable so far in this series. I mean, you just got to win one more game, and you're in.
Yeah.
Don't let it get to your head. You might always drop 3 in a row, but they're in a really pretty position right now.
Yeah, and the pressure's being put onto Nerv, and rather than succumb to it, they've said, let's play Shaco. Now, that could be interpreted in multiple different ways, but right now we do see Memento hanging in the top half of the map.
Buys the ward from Ice Beasto. He's actually going to be heading into the jungle here. Clears away the scrying plant. Probes down another ward of his own. It looks like he's going to be going on a counter jungle spree. But look at this. Tabasco's coming on up.
Tabasco is level 6. He does have vision of this.
So is Memento. All right, he's just going to go in on him. And he's going to have to poof it away. And Tabasco will thank him for the assist.
This does deny the blue buff away from Cervix, which will hurt his laning phase just a tad. But it's not the end of the world. The mana cost of the Corki is not the greatest. And also, he has the Corrupting Potion as well, so he should be okay for the time being. And I mean, so far it's a pretty passive early game. I mean, this isn't what I was expecting from a Shaco, and honestly, what I was expecting from this game, because we've seen a lot of early ganks coming out from Nerv, typically. So far, Team Kinguin, things are going the way that they kind of like.
Yeah,
I feel.
Nerv are offering a lot less pressure right now than you could have expected out of them, and it is really interesting. You can see Kinguin are even on the bottom side able to push in a little deeper with some vision. They have a ward secured here, and Kasanachu are going to be spotted heading into lane, but there we go. Clearing it away. Control ward had to be placed, though. However, you can see Tabasco hanging out in the bottom side, waiting to see if they want to execute this dive. Delord and Woolite are charging the minions into the bottom. See if they're able to take this one. Full summoners on either side, and oh, they're bringing in Tabasco. Ice Beast still coming into the party, and just like that, it's 4 members deep, but there's a teleport flying, and it didn't execute the way they wanted. Delord going incredibly low, and all of a sudden, things are going real pear-shaped right now for Team Kinguin, and they are gonna lose out on Tabasco. That was not nearly spicy enough. First blood over to Ruin, and Memento picks up Ice Beasto on the back.
The setup looked so promising from Team Kinguin. They'd moved Tabasco into the bottom lane. They get the arrow down onto Cast. They thought they could nuke him down, but they just switched their target focus at the last second. Both Tabasco and Ibisto flashed onto a Chew. He then flashed and healed to create a gap. Then all 5 members tried to turn onto Cast, but they'd had to disengage at that point because they realized, hang on, the TP is coming in from Ruin. Memento is making his way to the bottom lane, and unfortunately for TK, that decision to split their focus is really what determined why the gank went so wrong. So just look at the setup. You can see Corky already moving down. The ultimate on top of Tabasco, and then they swap. Both of them turn onto a Chew. The taunt is already used. Woolite is too far away from Cass. He gets that absolutely massive shield from Courage of the Colossus, and then all of TK ends up getting split apart. The play even happens before Sebex has time to get there. Ice Beasto burns his flash, and he can't get away from Memento and Suno. And in all honesty, it was just that last split second to switch focus over from a Chew over to Cass, which resulted in their downfall.
Yeah, all 4 summoners burned for the bottom lane of Nerv, but it was well worth the effort. The 2 kills are secured. They get themselves a dragon, an Earth Dragon as well. I mean, that's big Mountain Drake, I should say. 9 minutes into this game, it's a 2,000 gold lead, and they really didn't give anything up for it. Everybody from Nerv, or everybody from Team Kinguin was invested in that dive, and it just did not pay out. So Kinguin, a rare miss for them in this series. This might be Nerv's chance to really start to play this one out and get themselves into a healthy mid-game.
And honestly, this is the first time that we've seen TK try to force such an early play such as that. Usually they've been fairly reactive to the aggression coming out from Nerv, and perhaps they've gone for a couple of picks, but this is the first time that they go for that 5-man all-bot sort of play, and it ends up not working out for them. So even though it's a bit of a setback in the early game, that's not to say that they are completely out yet. Nerv once again with the early game lead, about a 1,400, 1,500 gold advantage so far. And really the big deficit is coming in the top lane. The Shen really is struggling against the Rumble. This is, as we talked about earlier, what you'd expect. But the gold deficit isn't so big that it's impossible for the Shen to come back. And as long as he still has his ultimate, as long as he's still sitting in the side lane and drawing attention, it's going to be difficult for Ruin to somehow deal with him come the later stages of the game.
Yeah, the only other significant goal difference right now has got to be between the junglers, because Memento, I mean, that's pretty much the kill that's separating them at the moment. And, well, Ruin's still punishing Ice Beasto and just pushing him back time and time again, but all you had to do on Shen is survive. And, okay, he went down once. That was the failed attempt in the bottom side, but he's still perfectly fine. And there's a lot of pings flying down towards the bottom here, though, as Achu is taking a backtrack as he sees Tabasco and Sebex on the way, but in comes Memento for the flank. Chains of Corruption are not going to connect the way they wanted to, and Sebex goes in, followed by Tabasco. The paranoia is there, and he gets him, but the box might just spell his doom, and Delord throws down a big Stranglethorns, but Sebex is going to have to tank a couple of tower shots. Exhaust on Memento, not enough damage. He sends the fake Shaco in. The Illuminati boxes are not close enough.
So 1 for 1 so far after TK once again tried to set up a play in the bottom lane. Tabasco did have his ultimate, but all they really wanted to do was force a Chew and Cast away from the turret so they could get that first tower gold. But Memento, they didn't realize that he was there. He came in from the flank. He cut off the escape route of Sebex, forced Tabasco to go in when really they just wanted to disengage. And Nerv ended up coming out, I would argue, ahead simply due to the severe number of summoner spells that they were able to burn from the side of Sebex. So now, all that early aggression that we saw from Memento may very well start to pay off if they're able to get that catch onto Sebex in the mid.
Yeah, definitely a big window for them. Let's take a look at how it all went down. Once again, Team Kinguin returned to the scene of the crime.
So you can see they really just wanted to try and force them away, but they start playing hyper aggressively, and then TK realized, oh no, we've made a mistake. So they just have to kind of commit. Tabasco does get 1 kill, but ends up giving his life away for it. And you'd think that Sebex would die here, but he makes a smart move and just decides to flash towards his teammates who are there to provide support. He is forced to use his exhaust, and I think that if he hadn't, he may very well have lost his life. But they're able to get away with just the 1-for-1. No turrets go down either side, and just a lot of summoner spells burn.
There really has been a lot of action down there so far without any turrets being pushed in. But this one up here should be the first to fall if all things stay even, as Ruin just continually herds these minions towards it. Nice Beasto is left to pick up the pieces. Lord clearing vision out of the bottom side, and they continue to do wave maintenance.
Now, if this was a usual solo queue game, this Shaco, who is 2-0, would be telling my team what to do, how to play, and then if I ignored him, I would not get a blue buff for the rest of the game. So,
you think that's going to happen now to Suno?
Well, yeah, it depends on the type of Shaco player, but yes, this is normally what I would expect from Shacos. So that's the hope for TK, that all of a sudden his inner Shaco kicks in and he decides to go against the team as he goes for a play onto Delore.
Well, it doesn't appear to be the case this time around, but he does send Faco towards Woolite. And yeah, you kind of have to know that's exactly what's happening. The boxes pop. Woolite is going to have to think twice about how forward he wants to push right now, and still pressure for the Team Kinguin bottom lane, provided by that Shaco. Sebex in the mid, clearing out a ward from Suno, trying to respect that distance so he doesn't get stunned up and scattered. Once again, kind of a quiet affair in the mid lane. Like, a couple of token movements. You saw Memento making a move in there. We haven't really seen Tabasco too much. And Suno has just had a very quiet game on Sebex, not really able to take him out, although he would probably love that blue buff.
It's spawning soon. You watch, that Shaco's going to take it. But in honesty, that's just because Sebex is playing Corki. It's the nature of the champion. It's really difficult to kill him, especially when he goes to that very early Hex Drinker. Like, Corki's one of the most boring people to lane against, because all he does is wave currently. It's like fighting an 80 carry, right? Well, I mean, it is fighting an 80 carry. And I mean, Syndra wants to be aggressive. The definition
of 80 carry is a little blurred these days. Just gonna throw that one out there. And he does enough magic damage. Yeah, but Sebex, I think you kind of hit it on the head. Being such a safe champion, he almost negates Suno's, well, he negates Suno's kill pressure in lane, but he doesn't let him get snowballing early on, and it kind of relies on getting somebody like Memento involved, who was hanging around, but decided to go back up top. It's actually Ruin who's making an invade here into this jungle. Plants down the ward.
And you could see, just if you watched on the minimap, you could see the positioning of Memento where he was hiding just behind the wall. This is the thing you have to be really aware of when going against the Shaco. We talked about it earlier on. There isn't that much vision control coming down, and I think that's just the confidence of Sebex. Given the champion that he's on, even though he has his flash down, his exhaust is back up, he has the Valkyrie to get out of any sticky situations. And so I think that's just good awareness from Sebex to be like, okay, I'm just going to play defensively because I realize I have no kill pressure on the Syndra anyway, so why bother? Why don't I just sit back, let the Suno push, and I'll just last hit wherever I can.
Yeah, doesn't seem like a bad plan for sure. Now, next Drake is spawned. It is in fact an Ocean Dragon, so not quite as immediately pressing to pick that up, and it has been a little bit more conservative this game than what we saw from games number 1 and 2, with only 4 kills on the board at 15 minutes on the clock. And well, 3 of them belong to Nerv, though. That's the big difference. Red carpet thrown down. Ice Beasto is not going to be able to lead too many minions towards this tower. In fact, it's only the cannon that survives. So Ruin, well, I mean, you'd say that would be risky if there was a fight going to happen in the next few minutes, but the way both teams are playing, it just doesn't seem to be the case.
For the time being, it's likely to be the mid-game dragon fight that we'll see a lot more action, and I feel that is where Team Kinguin will have the edge, because I've never personally considered Shaco to be the strongest of team fighters. He's very single target, he's very squishy, especially with the build path that he's decided to go for. He's more about finding those picks, finding those isolated targets to just lock down or maybe force out of the fight. But preferably you want that to happen before the fight even starts. So you go in, you chunk out a target, and then you disengage. Perhaps you use your ultimate to just get out of that sticky situation, and then when the enemy is chunked out, once your cooldowns are back up, that's when you choose to force the fight, because of his effectiveness not being the greatest in terms of the actual full 5-on 4v4 or 5v5 team fight.
And it's going to be so much on Memento to be able to find that opportunity, to set his team up, to be able to make those plays. Now, Ruin looking to finish off this tower. Ice Beasto is just trying to stop him from doing it, but there's really not much he can do. So that's another tower, or rather the first tower gone down. Yeah. Finally, Nerv will pick that one up, and it extends their gold lead as well, because he gets the first tower blood. He's able to get just the tower gold itself, and Sebex is actually going in, but Memento is tagged, and he's stunned up. Sebex, unleash the power. He goes in for Suno, finishes the job, and wouldn't you know it, Stand United, Memento cannot finish the job. Ice Beasto with the kill, the hook on Sebex, costs autos to finish it off. but it is a 2-for-1 trade. What a burst damage.
Sebex, what a hero. That was an outstanding outplay. The fact that it would have been perfect if those boxes, but we don't have time for that.
Achu is down. Delord will finish the kill there. In the box goes Woolite, and he tries to fight it out, but Koss just has too many stats to hang strong. So 2 kills over to the Thresh now as he picks himself up a blue buff. And will you look at this? Team Kinguin are scattering down to the bottom side to see if they can dive on the Thresh. Ice Beasto is going to be the one to find him, but it looks like they're more interested in this turret.
Yeah, I think the priority for them right now is to just get another objective on the board. They can't get the mid lane tower because of the minion wave positioning, and they feel that with the AD carry gone, they can just grab this tier 1 and be happy with the objective. But look at Ruin. He has his ultimate. Delord, he has no flash.
Oh, and Delord is just burning away right now. Memento throws the shiv. He's going to be able to get the damage out to kill Delord. Ice Beasto taunting away Tabasco under the relative safety of the turret. The hook does not connect. This might open a chance for Nerv to pick themselves up an Ocean Dragon, and all of a sudden the lid's been blown wide off this game.
So I feel like the Team Kinguin should have prioritized the Ocean Drake rather than going for that tier 1 in the bottom lane, simply because of the amount of time needed to invest into that objective allowed Nerv to recollect themselves. Ruin could move round to the bottom half of the map and punish the fact that there was no flash on top of the Lord. But let's just backtrack to how this played. This is the first aggressive move that Sebex made, and this is why you don't make it, because of how easy it is for Memento to just join the lane. But then he flashes in aggressively, he gets himself the kill, the Shen ultimate is there as well, and Sebex, he's just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Unfortunately, there's no room for him left to go, and I feel like his teammates could have saved him, but it was because of the fear of the boxes that prevented them from actually walking in and intercepting that hook.
It was so impressive that he created the opportunity for himself anyways, and we see how it followed up, that Achu goes down finally as Delord that picked it up instead of Woolite, and then of course we know what happens. Koss is able to finish him off with the help of the tower. And, you know, then everything goes a little bit upside down, trying to take that tower, and Delord getting finished off at the end. But really, really big credit to Sebex for finishing that play off and almost living. To be honest, if Koss had not roamed there, he'd have walked it out.
Yep. And as we were just discussing, that resulted in the tier 1 on the bottom lane, but because of how much time it actually took, they had to wait for the minion wave to get there. They had to send all 3 members down to the bottom lane. That actually allowed Ruin to rotate as well. Memento could move down too. And that's enabled Nerv to pick up that Ocean Drake. So they're now sitting on 2 dragons. It does appear the tendency for Team Kinguin is very much that, hey, if there's an Infernal Drake, we'll grab it. If there's nothing else, then we won't worry.
Not to worry at all. And with 3 members up top, well, Ruin might have something to worry about. You can see Sebex and Tabasco hanging strong here, and Ice Beast is trying to bait this. Memento is still here, however. Pings on that. Pretty obvious what the Polish squad wants to take. Ruin, always going to be baited in. Hits the taunt, in comes Tabasco. The gang squad is here. And they polish off the Rumble.
Very clean gank. Ruin flash just a little bit too early. Now Memento, he's going to get spotted by the rockets.
He's going to poof for 2, looking to polish off Tabasco. No. Oh no, that went real wrong.
Yeah. Memento, not entirely sure what his strategy was. I think he just wanted to nuke down Tabasco, and he thought that if I can just get rid of him, then this will deter them from the turret. But, I mean, the fact that you have a Shen there, also the Corki is the main damage dealer in that party, on just a bit of an oversight, I feel, from Memento, ends up getting punished for it. And now look, 2 members strong, they're still pushing on this tier 2 in the top.
Yeah, they should be able to get this one no problem. And I have a serious question for you, Vedius. Is that when you go full shake-up?
Yeah, this is when you go full shake-up. This is where you turn around and look at Ruin, and you're just like, why do I have this top laner wanting to buy Shen, please?
Oh, that's not a good thing right there. Nerv, if they are falling apart 20 minutes into this game, it is 6-6. The gold is very close, but Team Kinguin, they're the ones that are back in the lead. And you know, honestly, after that one mistake in the bottom side and maybe a little bit of an overstay the second time around when they finished the tower, you cannot fault this team for a whole lot.
I mean, I feel like we've seen this before, Pyro. I feel like that having a good early game into making a big mistake in the mid game is something that Nerv are slowly starting to build a reputation for. But still, you have to praise them the fact that like a lot of their gold has come from some good ganks very early on into the game, and then they punished the overextension coming out from TK, right? But it was an overextension after TK had actually been the ones to set up the plays for themselves, and then they're the ones that set up another play, and they punished Nerv for trying to react.
And now, look at how fast they can get these towers,
yeah.
too.
So much control over the map enables them to cleanly rotate around to the mid, get that tier 1, and now they've gotten themselves a pretty firm gold lead. This is exactly how TK have been playing throughout this series. Very incredibly well done. And now you can see the Shen, who has been struggling so much in the early game, has completed his Sunfire Cape. He's gotten himself another Giant's Belt. The Spectre's Cowl has also been completed. Like, this Shen is looking incredibly dominant. And in all honesty, Team Kinguin, even though it's still fairly even in the sense that the goal's not too big. Ooh, Shen ult.
Yep, and right on to Ruin. It's going to be 2-on-1. He goes golden for just a second. Style points indeed for Ruin, but that will be not enough to save his life. He's gone down. Tabasco claiming the kill. Ice Beast still letting him have that one for sure. So, heavy investment up in the top side. They will find Memento, who poofs. However, he's going to be able to get out from the lantern, but is it forever? He is oh so low, and Delord will finish him with the Strangled Thorns. Oh, baby.
And this Shaco gets heavily punished, caught unaware. The arrow hits him in the face, and now with no jungler down, Team Kinguin are looking for another 22-minute Baron.
It's 15 seconds until Ruin even comes back up. Koss is on half of his health. The only hope that Nerv have is to try and push them off this Baron. Woolite is narrowly evading the hook, but they're way too low. They turn on Ice Beasto. He gets the taunt on Suno. The damage is there. They're looking for Koss. Can he finish the job? No, it's just distraction. They secure the Baron. Ice Beasto tanks up the unleashed power. They do not lose a man. Team Kinguin looking strong.
Team Kinguin get themselves the Baron after catching Memento out of position. We wondered how the Shaker would do, and it ends up being him that gives the big gold swing over to Team Kinguin. Massive misplay from the side of Team Nerv, and honestly, things are now really starting to look bleak for this former Challenger Series squad.
5 wins in the Challenger Series qualifier over 5 days. They have not won a game on this 5-game set just yet. They're on the verge of elimination. This has got to be utterly gutting for Nerv right now, to be dealing with an incredibly strong Team Kinguin squad who have really got their number this entire series, dodging all the skill shots. They just keep pumping the damage. Suno is low. Tabasco goes in, finishes him off. He's on to Achu. This guy's hungry, and Woolite finishes the kill off. Meanwhile, Memento just continuing to fall down. Koss is trying to keep his team in shape, but it is only down to 2. Tabasco stays alive. Ice Beasto stays alive with the Baron. They're able to take another tower. It's 23.5 minutes, and Nerv, they're running out of towers fast.
The ultimate comes out from the Rumble to try and buy some time, but I don't think it's going to be enough as he goes in for the 1v4.
He does. Can he get it? No, it doesn't look like it. They forced him to back off. However, the hook goes flying, but Sebex was already out of there and blinking low health bars. Team Kinguin are not going to take any unnecessary risks. There's another dragging spawning up in 10 seconds, an easy objective take for them as they're 4,000 gold in the lead, and they are on the front door of victory.
Ruin coming way too late to the party once more. He used his teleport on the tier 2 well after the fight had already kicked off, and he wasn't there to support his team. All 5 members of TK just committed to the fight. They executed it so cleanly, and they were able to get themselves so many extra objectives. So look at the positioning of Memento. He tries to come in for a flank. The initial engage from Varus fails, and now all 3 members get poked down and makes it so easy for Tabasco to come in and clean up. You can see that Memento tries to focus down Woolite. A beautiful taunt coming out from Beastio is enough to lock down Memento and get the kill, but then scumbag Sebex actually kills the clone, and that is what results in Woolite's death. So trying to come out with the best KDA for his team. But still, they get themselves the turret, and it's Ruin that eventually deters TK from the actual second tier.
Hashtag not Woolite's fault. So this time around, Team Kinguin, they're going to be able to pick up their first dragon of the game. It is a Mountain Drake, so knocking down those towers is going to get a little bit easier, but they have controlled this game so well. 11 kills to 7 on the board. Ice Beasto now in the bottom lane pushing out, and you can see the rest of Team Kinguin are deciding, you know what, screw it, we're just going to keep on pushing as a unit. They cannot stop us. We can rotate if we need to. This tower is easy. This will be number 6. Nerv have only gotten 2 the whole game.
I'm honestly just very impressed with how TK have played out this entire series. They found a style of composition that works for them, and honestly, Nerv have found no way to punish it so far. As they knock onto the door of this tier 3 turret, they're looking to get their first inhibitor of the game.
Outside the first 10 minutes of the game, Nerv have not shown us what has given them a 5-0 record up until today, but they're on the verge of not making it back into the Challenger Series. 25 minutes into this game, with Team Kinguin marching on the front door to victory once again.
Now, Memento has completed his static shift. This could be the turning point.
He's gonna have to take at least 2 people down with him for it to be worth it at this point. He's got no Ignite available, and you know, you look back at this game, no matter what happens, I don't think it'd be fair to say Memento, you know, was going to be the one solely responsible for a win or a loss, but it just has not been enough.
I mean, you have to praise Memento for doing what he can. His early jungle clearing and his early aggression has been on point, and he was 2-0-0 at the start of the game. Remember, this is something that we were talking about, but it never translates into anything. It's largely just because of these team-wide mistakes where, I mean, it's partly on Memento because not only did he get caught out around the Baron, which resulted in the Baron, remember he got caught out top lane as well. He tried to help out Ruin in a 1 versus 3 to protect the turret, and he ends up giving away his life. So as much as we praise Memento for being a big facilitator in the early leads that Nerv have gotten, he's also been a big part of how throwing the game away for Team Nerv, and perhaps that's just him feeling like he has to be the one to start off these fights. Perhaps he's the one putting all this pressure on himself to try and make these plays happen, and honestly, they're just too overcommitted, too overzealous, and they just haven't worked out.
Whatever the reason, Nerv are going to have to find something different, and they're going to have to find it fast if they want to hang on here. It looks for a bit that they might have the ability to take a game back, but with Team Kinguin pushing in 3 lanes at the moment, really, there's not a whole lot that Nerv can do outside of a miracle of a fight to come back into this game. The gold lead just keeps on mounting, 5,000 and growing for Team Kinguin, and they've started to equalize those dragons thanks to the Mountain Drake they were able to secure. It's looking real rough right now if you're Nerv.
Certainly is. Right now for Team Kinguin, they have the Shen up in the top lane, just applying a bit of pressure. Level 16, highest level in the game right now. 2 major items completed. This is the point where it's going to be very difficult for the Rumble to really have that much kill threat. He could still be a nuisance, given that he does have 3 major items completed, the Void Staff as well as the Zhonya's and Mikhail's. But it's just the rest of TK, their map movements, going from side to side. Memento looking for an opportunity.
See if he can equalize. I mean, Tabasco's got enough tankiness on him, and look at that. Ice Beasto just immediately reacting. Meanwhile, well, guess what? You lose yourself an inhibitor turret, and now they're diving onto Achu, who's going to have to flash away. Stranglethorns dodged out, but they are losing inhibitor. While it is all happening, Ice Beasto's caught. There's the red carpet to Lord. He's going to flash over. He's not going to survive. He stays. Goes down, Ruin just tries to finish off yet another kill. He goes gold, and this will be 1 kill picked up for none, but they have lost themselves so much by way of their base. Ice Beasto is just able to almost get out before Suno finishes him off. That's 2 kills, so Team Kinguin poked their heads in a little too deep, but is this going to translate to anything for Nerv?
So how that actually all set up was the fact that Memento and Suno tried to force a play onto Tabasco. I feel like the ultimate from Shen was a little bit preemptive, because if that was going to come through, they should have used the positional error that Nerv had made to try and force a play on the inhibitor. They should have just thrown all their ultimates at a Jew, try and get the kill onto him, and that would have resulted in the inhibitor. But because so many ultimates were used in advance without actually targeting any player in particular, that's where things started to go awry for Team Kinguin. And this resulted in, when they tried to disengage, that's where Ruin's effectiveness came into play, because he threw out the equalizer. The chase came in from Memento. And you can see, look, the 3 members of TK, they're easily able to take the turret. And it's at this point that you force the ultimate. But it's just a little bit too late. Suno and Memento have been able to reposition. Ruin still is a little bit late to the party once again. But now, as TK start to disengage, that ultimate was so good, and it meant that Memento could do so much work as they were escaping. Beastio in a 1 versus 3 in the backline, just proving how tanky he actually is. Almost able to escape, but not quite. And it's just honestly just a bit of overconfidence, I feel, from Team Kinguin. Because in all honesty, like, they were so far ahead, and if they just taken advantage of the fact that Nerv was split up, they probably could have gotten that inhibitor. But instead, they just took their time, they're a little bit too lax, and then Nerv punished them for their lack of ultimates.
Yeah, so once again, small mistake. Just like we saw very early on in this game, but Team Kinguin have made just a handful of them. Still, is that going to be enough for Nerv to get back into this one? It's looking real, real grim. A good start for them would, however, be the ability to take away this Baron. Now, a lot of Team Kinguin are hanging around. Costco's fishing, and he finds the big purple worm on the line, but he's not able to reel that one in. And Nerv have kind of backed away because they realize, well, okay, so you've got Shen pushing on the bottom side, but Beasto has got himself a TP. Kosk keeps on getting the hook to spy that out because he can't get any vision from that ward, courtesy of the control ward that TK have placed down.
A lot of focus is being put on this Baron. As you were mentioning, a lot of vision to just secure it. All 3 lanes are being pushed up. Shen actually going for a bit of a 1 versus 1 against Ruin. You can see how tanky he now has become.
This is for early game.
Yeah.
Wants some revenge.
Definitely.
He's been doing fantastic ever since he managed to escape from that lane. But look at the vision that Kinguin have invested around this Baron pit. They know if they can get this, it might as well be the game for them. There's another dragon spawning in a few more seconds.
Oh,
as well,
Cass.
but Cass.
Ooh.
That was close. It's a Stranglethorn's burn though.
Yeah, that's actually a very big ultimate that's now unavailable for Team Kinguin. But look at Shen, he's still pushing in the bottom lane. He doesn't have his flash available, but his ultimate is primed and ready. I wonder whether or not Team Kinguin are just going to buy a little bit of time up until the ultimate actually comes up. Oh, arrow comes out.
Arrow. Oh, it's going to land onto Suno, and in comes the Paranoia right onto Anshu, and the burst damage is oh so real. Suno unleashes the power, but Memento's already gone. He comes out of stasis, he falls down. 3 kills just like that, and Sebix stays alive. Team Kinguin are gunning for the win.
There's already a big minion wave in the bottom lane. There's only 2 members left alive for Nerv. I think that Nerv are going to look to try and end the game and 3-0 this series.
Screw the Baron. They want to end it on the Nexus. Ruin's got no ultimate to defend. Can they hold the line? It's 25 seconds before the rest of Nerv is back up and available. They're leading the minions, charging into this base. They get the taunt onto Ruin. He goes gold, but it's not going to be enough to keep his team in Challenger. I don't think so. Team Kinguin are on the Nexus. That's it. A 3-0 sweep, and welcome to Challenger. Wow.
So there we
Sweep
are.
your promos, man. That's how you make it.
Yeah, I was not expecting that whatsoever after Nerv's incredible dominance throughout the group stages, going 6-0, even stomping Fnatic Academy in what was the fastest game during the Challenger Series qualifiers, to then get 3-0'd by Team Kinguin, who honestly looked very mixed in their group stages, but I think it just comes to show how much time and preparation that Team Kinguin invested into this best of 5 series, and they were able to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think it really helps when you come up with a strategy that not only works in game number 1, but that your opponent kind of allows you to play the pick and bans, just removing everything that made Memento comfortable. I mean, I don't know if you want to call it getting thrown off, but by the time he's locking in Shaco in game number 3, you're already going for a desperation move and hoping to cheese your opponents out. It just does not work.
But as we were talking about, I mean, even in the early game, Memento was doing pretty well. He was 2-0-0. He'd had a good start.
He got the ganks off.
It was once again the 2,000 gold lead that was in favor of Nerv, and they just didn't transition to anything.
That's the thing Vedius is saying. It ain't solo queue.
It
may look like it sometimes, but I mean, it's a whole different level. But well done for Team Kinguin. I mean, they've earned their place in the European Challenger Series. But we do have one more spot that we get to decide. So, just after the break, we'll find out of the next match. GG for now.
GG.
He's actually going in, but Memento is tagged, and he's stunned up Sebix. Oh, unleashed the power. He goes in for Suno, finishes the job, and wouldn't you know it, Stand United Memento cannot finish the job. Ice Beasto with the kill, the hook on Sebix. Koss autos to finish it off. Heavy investment up in the top side, and they will find Memento, who poofs. However, he's going to be able to get out from the lantern, but is it forever? He is oh so low, and Delord will finish him with the Stranglethorns. They just keep pumping the damage. Suno is low. Tabasco goes in, finishes him off. He's on to Anshu. This guy's hungry, and Walleye finishes the kill off. Meanwhile, Memento just continuing to fall down.
Oh, arrow comes out.
Arrow. Oh, it's going to land onto Suno, and in comes the Paranoia right onto Anshu, and the burst damage is oh so real. Suno unleashes the power, but Memento's already gone.